Welcome to the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. I'm thrilled you're here. My name is Jason Elkins, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a former U.S. Army paratrooper, third-generation commercial hot air balloon pilot, paramotor pilot, ex-Montana fly fishing guide, advanced open water scuba diver, and a full-time nomad that's visited more than 30 countries on 6 continents. As a seasoned adventure travel expert with a passion for creating and sharing meaningful experiences, I'm on a quest to impact the lives of adventure travelers, the tour operators they rely on, and the communities that host them. Every week, I bring you exclusive interviews with fascinating adventure tourism experts who have agreed to share their personal stories, favorite destinations, and some invaluable travel insights they've picked up along the way. We'll enjoy a casual conversation, create some connections, and likely share some laughs. It's my hope that by the end of each episode, this big world will feel just a bit smaller. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. Great episode coming up today. We've got Dalia Gibu. She is the Regional Sales and Marketing Director for Abercrombie and Kent, Latin America. Dalia, so happy to have you here. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Hola, Jason.
Yeah.
So great to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. You and I have spoken in the past, and I was just really kind of intrigued by kind of your career path and how you got from where you were to where you are now. And obviously I've seen your bio. I'm sure some of our listeners have seen that as well. I really want to dig into that. I want to go maybe a little bit further back. Well, I think your bio started with pretty far back, but let's dig into that a little bit. Let's go as far back.
I'm not that old, but...
Yeah, well, no, when I say far back, it's all relative. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm getting old.
So what was it like working in the tourism business back before we had telephones?
Oh, no, my God.
You would not know. Anybody doesn't have the opportunity to see you here on my screen. You're much younger than I am, and you've accomplished a lot of really cool stuff since then. So let's go back as far as you feel like we need to go back to help our listeners kind of understand like who you are and how did you end up working in adventure travel?
Well, I guess the first thing I heard was from my dad traveling and doing some road trips when I was young. I was very curious about, what he was doing. He was going to Argentina. He was going around Peru. And to me, that was like, that's another world. What is he talking about? Why is he going to these places for fun and not just for work? So I was always intrigued by that. He's a real adventurous. So, and then when I was in school, I was always very good at math. So everybody wanted me to be an engineer because my family is full of engineers. But then I was always like, very curious in geography class and history class. So those subjects were always very, appealing to me. And I actually entered the university when I was very young. I didn't know what to do. So I applied to accounting. So you can imagine that's like a very different thing from what I'm doing. And I only lasted 1 year. I was like, after a year, I said, no, this is not for me. I got to study something that has to do with travel and hospitality because I love, like hosting people at home. And my mom was a great example of that. She was always welcoming people in the house. So I love that part of service. And that's how I started studying travel and hospitality in Lima for 5 years in the university. And before that, just studying English as a hobby when I was younger because I love rock music. So my dad also was a big influence in that. So to learn how to sing the songs of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, I wanted to learn English. So it all came together, like, okay, languages and, I love geography and I was curious about traveling, but I never thought I would get this far. To be honest, it was always a dream to me, just, thinking about going to Europe or seeing the Eiffel Tower or going on safari. And just now I think about it and I say, oh my God, I've been so blessed because, I was born in a working class family that probably, my parents couldn't finish university. So, it's my generation, my cousins, that we started, having real careers. So, yeah, that was like, it's a big thing for the family to have people that could achieve those dreams. So feel very happy about that. And then I can pass it to my brothers, to my nephews, to my nieces, and this is how it all started with studying travel and hospitality in Lima, and then I got the opportunity to do my practice, my internship in Mexico. So I said, okay, I was 22 years old. I was already working in a casino, so I was a um, blackjack roulette croupier. Yeah. So and then I was like into HR and for that casino, and then I said, okay, you know what? I gotta go into the hotel business. I gotta put this into practice. So I moved to Mexico for 5 months supposedly, and then that ended up being 3 years of an amazing, learning path with great mentors. It was tough because I was 22. I was a girl who wanted to be in the kitchen. And, it was like, no, you're not strong enough. And I was like stubborn enough to stay in the kitchen. Uh, and I learned a lot. Mexico was a great, great school. I still have friends and mentors from that time that I'm still in contact with. And that was the beginning. So I did, I began being so I started in the kitchen, at the bar. So I did all food and beverage. And then the food and beverage manager said, I need a coordinator. Do you want to stay? And I said, yes, Mom, I'm not coming back home. I'm staying in Mexico. And that's how it started.
Very, very cool. I have a few questions for you. Thank you for all of that. The first question is a little off topic, but since you brought it up, and I've been wondering about this because I'm in Colombia right now, and you just walk the streets here, and you'll see people on the street corners singing, songs in English, and it's spot on. You would think that they were born and raised in New York City or Chicago or something, and I haven't had a lot of conversations with these people. So I don't know. I guess where I'm going with this is when you were listening to songs when you were young, it helped you learn English. But I'm curious, like, did you just kind of learn the words by rote just by listening to them, and you could sing along? You like knew the words, but did you actually start like? Did you
No,
understand the words, or was it
I
just
had
kind of?
to I had to go to take lessons. So every day after school, Monday to Friday, I would go to like a institute,
Uh huh.
the American Institute, to study for 2 hours every
Okay.
day. So that would be
Okay.
like grammar and phonetics and all of that. So that helped, but I guess, you also need to practice a lot. So what it really made me get out of my shell and practice was singing those songs. And also I
Hmm.
wanted to know what I was singing about.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I get that because you're absolutely right. Without the practice, I've learned it's really, really hard to learn a language. I started traveling, well, I started traveling full time about 2.5 years ago, and that started in South America. And I knew no Spanish. I had nothing, nada. and and all of a sudden I was really, I guess incentivized to learn because I'm pretty outgoing. So I would start learning, and then I was practicing constantly because when you live in a country that they speak a different language, it's really, really easy to practice. It's not so easy to practice. You can go to school and learn English, but if you don't practice it somehow, I don't even know how you can do it. So yeah, the music's a good way to practice, right? As far as
Yeah, the
listening.
music was a great way to practice. I had a lot of friends in that institute that love music, so we did like jamming, and it was like, okay, Dahlia, you sing, I play the guitar, and then we just all gathered together. We were like, what, 14, 15 years old, so just having fun and watching MTV, and it was just great. And it was like the beginning of of the 90s. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great way to learn. But then when I got my first job in this casino, so the owners were from all around. So one was from Scotland, the other one from Manchester, from Canada, so all these different accents, and they will always correcting me because they said, "Why are you speaking American English? You should be speaking real English." And I was like, "I learned 20," and they're like, "No, that's not how you pronounce it." So it was a good exercise for my ears to just understand and listen to different accents and yeah, I guess that was, everything that happened in my life has been just a learning curve for, and
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it was great.
I I suspect so based on what you were just saying, yes, there's different accents that we all say we speak English. So there's sometimes we argue about that. But I can imagine that that would be very challenging if you learn American English and then
Yeah.
especially like Scottish or Irish or Australians, sometimes I would imagine can be a challenge because frankly, they're a challenge for me sometimes to understand what they're
And you
saying.
can imagine that during that time we didn't have like the cell phones where you can record someone and just ask Google Translate to translate. No, I just had to like listen very carefully and try to follow instructions because they were also telling me what to do for my job. So I had to really listen.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Google Translate. I mean, there's other translation options, but Google Translate is something that's come up obviously in my lifetime. That is, it's a big game changer. I had I dated a woman from Japan when I was in college, and I don't know how she passed the English test to come to the U.S. But anyway, but every conversation she had the little dictionary in her hands, and every two or three sentences she had to pause, flip the pages, find a specific word, and try and it was we'd have a 5 minute
Jason,
conversation that
that
would
was
last.
love. That was
Yeah, yeah,
love.
it was pretty cool. I just remember sitting there for hours, and I know we had a 5 minute conversation that lasted 3 hours, but it was good quality time, and it was fun. And now, you can go on a
Now
date or
everything is
have a
so
business
much
meeting.
easier. So much
Yeah.
easier. Where I remember having like my dictionary and thesaurus. They were my best friends in the last years of high school. And it's like just trying to figure out and learn more words and get my vocabulary a little bit better. But now well, during the pandemic, I studied Portuguese and French.
Oh wow.
So because I couldn't have I didn't have the time. I was learning so much, and during the pandemic, the good thing they brought all these virtual lessons and online lessons, and so then I got into it, but then I had the internet. So it was easier just to type the words and find them and practice online. And the kids now, they have all these amazing tools, even now with artificial intelligence, to learn faster. I mean, we had to go to the library with all these dusty books and like the travel guides and all of that. We had to read and make notes. And now these guys, they can just make a voice note and even ask their WhatsApp for advice or watch on TikTok for advice. So it's a different era.
Though it's interesting because it's easier to communicate. We've got all these tools. We can sit across a table from someone that speaks a different language, just pass the phone back and forth, push the little button or whatever. But then I also wonder if because it's easy, sometimes when things are easy, we don't have a lot of incentive to learn them. So, I'm in Colombia right now, and you go to a restaurant, and I'm in Medellin, so there's a lot of expats here,
Oh, nice. I
foreigners,
love it.
and it's not uncommon to go into a restaurant and see a couple that clearly didn't grow up in the same culture, passing the phone back and forth doing that. And I'm like, and I wonder if we haven't made it so easy that we don't really need to learn the language, number one. Number two, if you have to look through a dictionary or a thesaurus and you have to learn that way, you have a lot of incentive to actually remember the words that you just learned. because I
Yeah.
don't want to have to do that every time. It's such a pain in the ass to carry around a thesaurus or your dictionary that I wonder if your brain doesn't just like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and actually file this away somewhere where it's a little bit more accessible. I'll remember it more because I can't just pull out my phone and almost cheat in a way. So I don't know. It's
It is a little
yeah.
bit like handwriting, right? Now I try to write and I'm like a doctor. It's awful. And I used to have like this beautiful handwriting and now because I don't write, it
Yeah.
just become awful. So, and I guess also, having all these tools for communication makes people a little bit lazy as well.
Hmm.
And I think like meeting in person is just, something so valuable and getting to like break the ice and talk to people on the street and, like make friends in real life, face to face. That's something that it's kind of lost. I see, the kids and my nieces and nephews, they are just online playing and talking to people, but I'm like, get out. I used to be like out all the time when I was younger, and my mom would be like, Dalia, come back home, it's too late. And I just wanted to talk to people. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things that made our generation so great that, we had to talk to people and we wanted to do it.
Okay, so that leads me to, yeah, you're outgoing, obviously. You're outgoing, you are curious, you want to culturally, there's no big surprise to me that you're doing what you're doing now. And, I mean, it seems like a pretty good fit. And and you said you worked in human relations as well as or you have over the course of your career worked in human relations. So I I mean, do you feel like there's a certain type of personality? I don't know how far we want to go in this direction, but do you feel like there's a certain type of personality you're looking for when you're, looking to expand your team or move people
No,
around
I
within the
think
organization, or what do you think?
it's kind of a puzzle. I think I always need people in my team that can kind of, like Dahlia is dreaming and she's flying, and then these guys are like, okay, Dahlia, land, emergency landing. You have to land all these ideas, all these crazy ideas. So I always need different people in my team, and they are so valuable and people that they can sit down and think about it and think about the process and make it happen. I mean, it's like without my operations teams around Latin America, I don't know what I would do because they are the ones that make the magic happen, and I just talk about it, or I
You know,
just think about it or create things.
yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point because I'm sure that people listening to this that haven't worked in tourism or they are aspiring to work in tourism, there's a lot of different parts of it. There's the person that can sit there and go over invoices or contracts or stuff to make sure that things are in order. There's jobs for people that do that, and you might think that doesn't sound very much like adventure travel, but there are opportunities. And then there's guides maybe that are out in the field with the clients and could not balance their own checkbook, but they are amazing guides and they're able to connect with people, and most importantly they enjoy it, because that's, if you don't, if you take somebody who's maybe has that guide mentality that likes to be out in the field, likes to be exploring, likes to be sharing, learning new languages, and you sit them down and say, okay, for the next 6 months you're gonna set up all the transfers and all the
Oh
flights
no,
and do all this stuff, it's not going to work.
no, it's not
um,
gonna work.
yeah, so okay, yeah, so good. I'm
Yeah,
happy we touched on that.
I guess there are certain personalities that can, fit better with a different, a certain role, but they're all of them very important.
Yep.
It's a big machine, it's a big puzzle, and with A&K, I feel like I found that with my mentors, with my bosses, my team. Everybody is just very eager to work together. So we are like a big family, and it's like like any family. Sometimes it's dysfunctional. We help each other, we love each other, so we push for the same direction, and it's just great. When you find that, and that's why I've been with ANK for 13 years, and I think I'm gonna stay here forever. So
Well,
Yeah,
it's very
it's the
cool. It's a great
people. It's
organization. I mean, it's got an amazing reputation. I would like to dig a little bit into because some of our listeners might, you're on the DMC or the Destination Management Company side of Abercrombie and Kent, and I'm sure some of our listeners might be like, DMC, what is that? And instead of me taking a shot at it, I think I have a pretty clear idea based on my experiences, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, how do you describe to people when you're out in the field, you're at a lodge, you run into somebody, and how do you explain to somebody what you do?
I mean, our office, so it's the local offices. So first thing is we are in the destination, so destination management company. We are the ones that are seeing what is going on a day by day basis. So that's, I think, the value uh, of the DMC is that people are from the destination that are very knowledgeable. We have the right connections in destination. We know what is going on minute by minute. If something is happening in destination, we know how to solve it, plan A, plan B, plan C. We dig for new experts. We go and explore and create new products. We work with the tourism offices as well, locally with the hotels. We check that everything goes through health and safety. We do reports on, every little piece of operation we have, from hotels to transfer guides, everything. So we handpick uh, and we try and we approve everything that we're going to offer to our travelers, well, to our travel agents or tour operators, because as DMCs, we do B2B. We don't go direct to customers. We respect our relationship with our travel advisors, with our tour operators, that they want to work with us in destination, and we just make the magic happen. So,
That's yeah.
my team in this, my team in operations, they make the magic happen because, they are the ones, in Cusco we have a team of guardian angels, just, um, kind of hand-holding all the clients around Cusco City. Then we have our guides that they have different profiles. So we know that we have guides that are great for single travelers or for families or for people who are into history or who just, a multi-generational family. So they know how to juggle with different things. So, we have people who are there in the Cusco office buying tickets for Machu Picchu if there is a last minute thing, or in Rio de Janeiro making sure we can get access fast track to the Sugar Loaf. So there is this there is this team that they are on the ground, and that's the beauty of having the offices there, because we had so many struggles during COVID times, and then afterwards with some social unrest in some destinations, and with the office, I was so amazed how quick we could evacuate people, how quick we could turn plan A to plan B and still make people happy. So it's having those right connections, and the teams are so strong in destination.
Very cool. What I heard you say, if I were to try and kind of process it, is boots on the ground. Your team is the boots on the ground, the ones closest to the stuff, actually making it happen. And this goes back. I'm not being very direct on this, but it goes back to our conversation we were just having a moment ago, where different personality types, fit into your team, and we need to have different personality types because some people are really good at X and some people are really good at Y. And I've always kind of looked at it as like the destination management companies are really good at operations, right? It's the stuff that's happening. And then maybe the tour operator back in the US or in Europe or whatever, they're really good at marketing and maybe sales.
Yes.
That, so they focus their efforts on marketing and sales. You guys kind of focus your efforts on actually making stuff happen, providing a product really to those companies to then turn around and resell directly to their clients. And when I heard you say, well, we don't, we value our relationships with our tour operators and our travel agents, that's a part of it, right? But also the other part of it is that's not what you guys are set up to do. You're not
No.
necessarily set up to have 30 conversations a day. And so if you're trying to work directly with clients, from your offices, you're just not set up to do that. And then the operational stuff falls down where, like Abercrombie and Kent, they're in Chicago, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
in Chicago, and there is another one in the UK and another office in Australia.
Okay.
So they are the ones that are, talking to travel advisors or to direct customers about the destination. So also we as DMCs, we have that responsibility to train those
To train.
teams about the new things and then tell them, we work together. So that's the thing. We work together to develop new products. So, I was last week I was at Chalten in El
Hmm.
Calafate in Argentina. So now I was just training my team, and I said, okay, this is a property we should be looking for families. This property is great for couples. These activities are too much maybe for someone who is, has mobility issues. So just to tell them what's best for different type of clients. And of course, tour operators and travel agents and travel advisors, they know their clients best. So that's like a great marriage because we
Hmm.
know the destination and then they know their clients. So this is how we match together. And I think like the key of success for A&K, and I'm talking about Latin America especially, is that relationship we have with travel advisors and tour operators, that they trust us, they trust our knowledge, and we have a great relationship just working together.
I I love the yeah, you said we know our products, we know our destinations, they know their clients, and just kind of bring it together. That's super cool. And I happen to know, and I don't know by the time this airs, I don't know what you're going to be doing, but I happen to know that one of the things you're doing is, I think it's just called a university in a sense, right? A series of webinars and informational stuff. And you're like at the forefront, I think, of this project, or you're definitely very involved in it because I see your name come through on my emails because I'm on your email list. Tell our listeners a little bit about that and how they can take advantage of it if they're interested. They want to learn more about South America.
Yes, well, for Latin America, sometimes it's a it's a difficult spot because everybody knows Europe, everybody loves Africa. There are destinations that are a little bit more popular, like Egypt and Jordan and Japan. And when it comes to Latin America, sometimes it's like the unknown. I don't know, should I go there? Is it safe? How about the distances? How do I get from here to there? So for us, it's more about educating the trade about how to travel and how to navigate Latin America.
Hmm.
So I said, why don't we do something that is not so long because everybody's tired of, an hour Zoom calls. So I said, let's do like 15 minutes but on one piece of destination. So you have like kind of your podcast in a way, just a very short while you are, I don't know, making breakfast or washing dishes. And you can hear for 15 minutes of inspiration about Buenos Aires, 15 minutes of inspiration about the Pantanal, best time to go, how many days, the properties we love, A&K Insider Access, and the unique things we do in destinations. So it turns you a little bit into an expert on the destination with 15 minutes of, listening information from the country managers. So it's not just from, a tour consultant or, someone that is junior. Is someone that has been in the working the destination for many years, and that's so knowledgeable. So we said, let's do this university. We had like different seasons by country. So we had 6 seasons plus one that is like how to make multi-country itineraries. And that's available for everyone that wants to learn about South America. And hopefully we'll launch soon also the University for Costa Rica, which is the office that we just opened July last year. So we were working into, developing new experiences there as well because we want to make a different Costa Rica, a special Costa Rica that can be not just, like your adventure and like kind of easy way to travel, but something a little bit more in depth with culinary experiences with the communities, and doing some of the also ultra lux traveling in Costa Rica.
That's very cool. I can imagine, and as I listen to you, and when I became aware of the university, I kind of imagined that it was really tailored towards travel agents, tour
Yeah.
operators, and that sort. Is it something that if somebody listening to this podcast that just likes to travel, has no desire to work in the business, whatever, but likes to learn about places, is it relevant? Would they get something out of it? I would think so,
They
right?
will for sure because it's more inspirational. So yes, we talk about also logistics and how things work in destination, but it's also inspirational because then you will see what Bariloche is about, and the hotels you would dream of staying, like Chao Chao or El Casco or Villa Beluno. So it's I think like everybody enjoys that, and we got really good reviews about it because at first I was like, I hope people listen to those because it's a long university, but people were really interested, and that make us very happy because there was a lot of work involved.
Okay. So if somebody is intrigued by what we're talking about, wants to find that, what's the easiest way to? I mean, I have a link to your website, well, to Abercrombie and Kent, Latin America, in the show notes. But if somebody is interested in this university, where would they find more information about that?
So I can share with you, Jason, so you can post it on the um,
In the show notes,
description
yep.
of this, yeah, and the show notes, and then people can just click and download the links to go to this because they're all uploaded on YouTube. But
Okay.
it's like so it's not open to everybody, so they need the link to access. So I'll give you
Yeah.
the link, and then everybody that wants to listen, they can listen, and hopefully they will get some inspiration to come and travel to South America. Well, you are in Medellin, so once you step into South America, it's okay. You want to know more, you want to learn more. Medellin is such an amazing city. I love it. I hope you have been to Guatapé.
I have. I've actually this past weekend I was in Santa Fe de Antioquia. Took a bus. Just went down to the bus. You go to the bus terminal and you just like find a bus and it's like $5 and go to one of these pueblos. The weekend before I was in San Pedro de los Milagros. Kind of the same thing. Guatape. There's Jardín. It's just when I first came here. I decided to travel full time. I had been to South America. I'd worked in the tourism business. I helped a lot of clients book trips and led trips to Venezuela and Argentina, but I'd never lived here, and it was different. So when I started traveling full time, I thought I'd spend 1 month in Colombia and then work my way
No.
down to Ecuador and Peru. I haven't even got past Medellin, really. I mean, I've left. I've gone other places as well, but I just fell in love. I've spent about a year and a half out of the
Jason, you,
last two
you
years
will
here.
agree with me when people ask you, is Colombia dangerous? The danger is that you are never going to leave that country because
That's
you're going to love it so much. You're not
there's
coming back home.
yeah, you're spot on. There are some like holes in the sidewalk. I'm not gonna lie. I always think, when people say is it dangerous there, well, you got to kind of watch where you're walking because sometimes they remove the little manhole covers in the sidewalks, and that could be dangerous. Sometimes the motorcyclists don't really pay much attention to signs, or there's a lot of one-way streets in this town. And when you have a motorcycle, apparently you can go whichever direction you want to go. So you got to be careful crossing the street. But if you're
Especially after celebrating so much in Colombia, because it's like, okay, after office, and then you have a couple of beers or, aguardiente, and then, yes, you have to be careful about, going out and looking at both sides of the street.
yeah, but and I mean there are things. Medellin's a city, Colombia's a country that there's areas that there's issues. It's that way with everywhere.
Like any big city.
Yeah, and I believe that if you come here for the things that you and I enjoy, you know, the climate, the culture,
Oh,
the
yeah.
the nature, the food,
The food.
if you come here for the things that adventure travelers go for, then I find it very safe. If you're coming here to look for other stuff, then that is typically associated with bad people, then guess what? You're going to find bad people. But I think it's that way pretty much anywhere. So,
Oh, and
um,
I think Medellin is such an amazing city because of the resilience of the people as well, because
oh yeah,
they live happily, because they went through so much. Their past generations went through so much as well that now they learn how to live the day. And this is something that I believe a lot of people still need to learn from our Latin culture, is that we enjoy life, and despite our problems, despite our politicians, it's like when you go to, I was in Buenos Aires last week, and I was just asking about, new president and all that, and I can see people just, enjoying life, and they say, okay, we are waiting for a change. Yes, we know it's going to be hard, but this is not going to stop us to enjoy life, to be happy. And I just love that because, we're not waiting to be 70 or 80 years old to start living our lives. We
and
do it day by day.
and I think yes, because here, even when things are bad, or maybe your financial situation is challenging, you can still go sit down in front of a tienda and drink a beer for $1 and watch a soccer game with your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your whatever. It doesn't have to be so complicated. Where there's other parts
Yeah.
of the world that we live so isolated that for us to do anything fun, it's like a big deal. You gotta do a whole date night. You gotta go to Disneyland because you can't find anything fun in your neighborhood. And the thing I love about, I mean, any moment, if I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of bored, I literally just walk out my front door. I decide, do I want to take a left or right? And I go look for just something new. And there's new little tiendas and markets and shops. You just go sit down and watch people. It is absolutely fascinating. And I also want to touch on, there's a generational thing, especially here in Medellin, because I'm 50, and a lot of people my age grew up at a time that was very, very challenging
Yeah.
here, or older. If you were a parent, if you had young children during those times, it definitely impacts kind of the way you see the world. And I was just having a conversation last night with a younger person that we were talking about the generational thing, and she's like, yeah, my mom and dad don't want, they're terrified, they don't want me to go anywhere, like, don't leave the house, da 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 da. She's Colombian, and she's like, but all my friends, everybody my age is like, this
Yeah,
place is
no.
amazing, we love this, we're going to go have fun, and there's so many things to do. And they're just like, it's a generational, it's like my grandparents, were World War II depression, they lived
Hmm.
through the Great Depression, so their attitude about like food or other things was just a little bit different than mine. And it's good. But the Latin culture, the Latino culture is just, I guess it's la cultura latina, right?
Yes, see,
Yep.
see.
So,
So
yep.
tell me, did you learn how to dance salsa already?
No, no, no. I've stood up a couple times and been taught a few steps, but it's intimidating, to be honest with you. Like, learning
Why?
Spanish, well, Dalia,
Latina
have you
women were intimidating. That's what you're
it
saying.
was or just like everybody here grew up dancing that way.
Oh yes,
So
we
so
were
it's
born
it's
dancing.
it's like if everybody here rode unicycles to work, the bikes
Yeah.
with one tire. If they grew up riding those things around town, do you think I'm going to get on one and try and ride around town? No, I'm going to be like, I
Don't
think I'll walk. I mean, I could probably
don't
learn, but it's just
worry.
like, yeah, and learning Spanish was different because, yeah, I mean, I felt like I needed to learn Spanish in order to
Hmm.
communicate, and I'm outgoing and curious, so I felt like I needed to learn Spanish just to communicate. The dancing, I just really like to watch, and because they're so good. I mean, there's
No,
no
Colombia
bad
is
dancers here.
a different level. That's a different level, even for me. So, but if we give you A for effort, just go and give it a
Yeah,
try. We
Yeah,
just have
well,
fun. And here, Latin America, we just love when everyone wants to dance and wants to be part of that community because
yeah,
dancing for us is like speaking. It's our form of communication. We are,
yeah.
we are warm. We love to hug and dance and sharing things. So yeah, go
Okay,
for it. N-
you've
Next
inspired me.
time we
I will
talk,
make. Yep, I'm
or
gonna.
next time we see each other, then
We'll go dancing.
yeah,
You can see if I
perfect.
made any progress. All right. Very cool. So, and yeah, I mean, obviously, I love it here, but I have yet to get to Peru. You've got probably more experience than anybody I know in different places around South America. And, this show is really kind of about your story, but it's also about your passions. And so I'm just curious, like, what is there something on the horizon? You discussed Costa Rica. Is there something on the horizon that you're super excited about? Is there a place or some experience that you feel like everybody listening to this needs to experience at least once in their life? I mean, just share with us what's on your heart.
I was last week at Chalten, and it has been a dream for me because I love hiking. So I love two things, eating and hiking. So I eat
That's
and I
good
try
though.
to
That's
burn
good
the
because then you
calories.
can burn the calories. Yeah. If it was hiking and watching football, or no,
Well,
eating
that
and
was
watching football, that would be bad. Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, so I went to El Chalten and I just loved it. And I've been dreaming about the Fitzroy for ages and just seeing that mountain was like, wow. So I want to go back as soon as possible because I couldn't have like enough time to do all the hikes, but I just love that part of Patagonia. And I love meeting the people there, the guides. And to me, that was a revelation because I know guides that, they love the mountains, but the guides in Argentina, they are so prepared. Like, and also they are not just guides for like the mountain guides, but they do climbing and they do rescues. So they
Mm.
are, the ones that if someone gets lost in the mountain, they will go voluntarily to rescue them. So to me, that's like being a firefighter is
Hmm.
you are devoted to humanity. So
Yeah.
that was just so touching and so I admire them so much because also these guides are very young. So I met like a 26-year-old uh, climbing guide and another one 34 women. So also I just love these how we empower women in the different destinations that where we have our offices. So I was just chatting with my team in Argentina, and I said we have to do something with this. Um, with these women that they are struggling to make their point and say, okay, I could be 5 feet tall and 26, but I can hike that mountain as well. So and it's a new generation, so I love that we're putting effort into making the new generations love travel, love all the experiences we have in this nation. Here in Peru, we have been working with our community for about 9, 10 years in the Sacred Valley. So the women of this community, when we got our permits to operate our Inca Trail, they asked to be part of it because those jobs are usually given to men because those jobs pay better. So we
Hmm.
trained them to be part of that support service for the Inca Trail. And I did the Inca Trail with them last year, so with two of them, with Sonia and Imelda. So I was just chatting with them in Spanish, and they were speaking a little bit of Quechua. I was like, oh my God, no, I don't know Quechua that much. And just hearing their stories and know how we can make a difference for the people that live in the destination because it's not just about being a company and Abercrombie and Kent is a big company in a way, right? Because we have like all these network of DMCs, but we are very into philanthropy and doing that positive impact into the countries and the communities we work with. So just knowing that Imelda was telling me, I said, so what is going on in your house today while we are hiking? And she's like, for the first time my husband is looking after my two kids. I'm going back home with my money. I'm gonna tell this guy this is the money for our kid to go and study in Cusco. And this is my decision because it's my money. I was like, wow, she she sounded and she looked so empowered that to me I was like in tears, and I'm like, you know, finally, there you go. This is the Andean women. This is our power. So making the difference with in different destinations. That's what I love, because I think that in South America and Latin America, women, we had a really long path, and still we do fight with a lot of machismo. So just having a little bit more equality. And I feel
Yeah.
like also the men here in my generation and the new generation, they understand that women need a little bit more, help, exposure, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's just great to see, things moving forward for more equality.
That's so. I asked you what's on your heart, and man, you just opened it up. I love that because I get to see. I get our listeners don't get to see your face, and I can see the passion behind this, and it like gave me goosebumps. And it's super cool because historically, I feel like historically involving women in tourism has been around housekeeping roles, culinary
Yes.
roles maybe, or arts and or crafts, selling crafts. If you go to a typical place, you've got these male guides often, leading these
Mhm.
trips, and at the gate as they go into the park or as they start to climb the volcano, there's the women there with their tables and selling their craft
Yes.
things. So that's got to be a big shift. That's probably exciting for some women that want to shift, and get work on the other side of it or in a slightly different capacity. And I
And
love
it's
that you
also good
said,
for men, huh?
well, yeah,
Because
yeah,
now,
that's
you know, it's kind of okay. We're equal. We can do whatever we want. And you see in Peru, the chefs, mostly men now. And it used to be women, because it's like the grandmas and the mothers cooking for the kids. And now men don't feel afraid to study a culinary career, because they know they can also be so good. And it's just great to see, you can be here or there. Whatever your heart takes you, you can do it.
and and it goes back to what we were talking about, personality styles, really, because I know that not all men are the same and not all women are the same, but in general, I think that we can agree that maybe women can bring a slightly different type of experience to clients. I would argue. I mean, I've been with a lot of guides. I've traveled a lot and I've been in a lot of places, and I've met some amazing male guides that are very good at connecting with people. And you
Hmm.
just feel like immediately you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm his best friend, and like he's looking, he's just so interested in what I have to say. Da da da. Women are generally better at that than guys, I think, in connecting and communication and just compassion. Like I think sometimes women will stop and show you things that guys will just step right past, in my experience. But again,
I
I
think we
know that's
love to
very
take care
generalized.
of people, and
Yeah,
just
it's
be the mom in a way for everybody. And this is something that, especially in Latin America, I think it has been passed from generation to generation, where the mom is looking after the family, making sure everything runs well in the family, and that you take it also into your career. It's the same thing with my team. I always like to make sure everybody is happy, but then you learn also how to delegate, and it's not easy when you are a woman in South America or in Latin America, where you have to, in order to achieve things, you have to become tough, and and work hard. And then well, you have to learn also to delegate, and also sometimes just be backstage for other people to take the lead. And yeah, so
that's cool. And as we were having this conversation, it occurred to me. Right now, I'm living in what is known as Comuna 13 in Medellin. So it's what
yeah.
used to be the most dangerous community in the most dangerous city in the world, and now it's I mean, it's still an interesting place. It's not like they went in and tore down all the houses and built new houses. It looks like the hood, frankly, and it is.
Yeah.
And they've shifted. I mean, the number of tourists, I have no idea, but the number of tourists walking through Comuna Trece on a daily basis, you get to the train station, you get to the metro station in San Javier, which is the same town, or same part of the city. You get off the train station, and there's a lot of guides standing outside the train station ready to go that will take you on a 2-3 hour tour of Comuna Trece. And I guess my point is, it just occurred to me that, I mean, I see them every day when I get off the metro, and they're almost all women. And I know they're doing day trips, and maybe it's a little different than the mountaineering stuff that we're talking about, or maybe not the mountaineering, but yeah, it's actually just occurred to me that pretty much all of the guides there at the train station are women. And when you go into the community and you see the guided trips, you see a group of 12 people, and a young woman that's probably 22, and she's got a group of, 12 gringos in their 30s and 40s following them around, like listening to everything she says, and she is in charge. And it's so cool.
Oh, yes.
It's so cool to see that. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, so
It's great
right.
to see women taking that lead in tourism, and and you see it in the tourism world. We have so many so many women working in the tourism world nowadays. So and having all these amazing roles, and passing all this great knowledge to new generations. So yeah, very very proud to be part of that movement. In a way.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. I'm happy. We had that conversation. And I also wrote down, before we jumped on this call today, I do want to talk to you a little bit about food, because you've mentioned it a couple times, and you mentioned it in your bio, and you live in Peru, so I can appreciate that. And there's some things that maybe traditionally people eat in Peru that they don't eat other places. Share something about. Let's talk about food. What's the Like, if you have somebody coming from the States, they're flying into Lima, and you're going to go take them out for dinner, just assuming they haven't been to Peru, they haven't been to South America.
Oh, okay.
What do you do? Like, what's the thing that you're super excited to share with the world?
Oh, okay, dinner. Because if you say lunch, that would be a different story.
Okay,
So
let's start at breakfast. What do we do for breakfast?
Breakfast we do pan con chicharrón. So that's the deep fried pork on a bun with fried sweet potato. That's that's also the cure for a hangover on a Sunday.
So you do
Because that's really rich.
pan de chicharrón. Because
Yeah,
here
it's like
they don't do that here. I mean, they do the chicharrón, and they do pan with everything
Oh,
else. Jamón y
Jason,
queso.
buy your tickets now. I'll take you to
Oh,
pan con
that sounds-
chicharrón and
But here's the problem. My breakfast food is croissant. I do a croissant with jamón y queso, or pan de jamón y queso, ham and
Okay.
cheese. And then my favorite for dinner is going to be a chicharrón, or lunch, or whatever. But you put those two together, I'm going to really need to do a lot
you
more
see?
hiking.
We'll walk around Lima. Don't worry about it. Or we can
Okay.
go on the bike because there's a great bike line in Lima as well. But pan con chicharrón, that's one thing. We have so many different fruits here. So we have, great papaya, lucuma. There's so many fruits. So we're used to have like a fruit juice with pan con chicharrón, or good coffee, because also Peru has great coffee. And then for lunch, definitely ceviche or tiradito. That's, tiradito is a more, more Nikkei, I would say. So that's more Japanese. And I was, I think I told you, my grandparents are from Okinawa. So they moved to Peru in the 20s. And then they had their family here. And so I was born and raised with, Japanese food on one side and Peruvian food on the other side. So I'm kind of like that Nikkei, blend. And and I just love, like the tiradito. It reminds me of that ceviche that my grandma used to make every Sunday. And then of course, the maki rolls, and they're and a great example of that, if you want to take it to a different level, is going to Maido, which is, one of the 10 best restaurants in the world, located here in Lima. And he does an amazing job with Nikkei cuisine. But anywhere in Peru, like, you find great ceviche. I've taken my friends to from the top restaurants all the way to the market, because you have to experience all of that. And of course, we eat great food at home, with the aunties, the grandmas. Everybody feeds you around. It's a problem, because then you have the chicos like mine, because you cannot go on a diet in Peru. And then you have also the influence of Chinese. So you have chifa, which is the mixture of Cantonese food with Peruvian food and ingredients. And then so we have 60% of Peru is the Amazon, and then you have the Andean mountain range and the coast. So every region will have a different type of cuisine and food and ingredients. So, you go to Cusco, and then of course you have to try all these big corns and potatoes, and, well, they eat a lot of, different meat as well, even though people will kill me, but they eat the guinea pig, as you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's
They are
cuy,
pets,
right?
but
Do they call them cuy?
cuy, yes, that's
Cuy?
cuy,
Okay, you said it a little different.
and
Okay.
yes, and then it's like, you can eat it like deep fried, or in the oven. And when I go to the local community, and they offer, I have to eat a little bit with a pain in my heart, but I have
Yeah.
to do it,
Let
and
me
I
let me
enjoy
ask
it.
you this.
And
Let me ask you this. So on A&K trip, Abercrombie and Kent trip, is it possible? Is it likely that a client, maybe a tour operator back in the States, or maybe it's Abercrombie and Kent, will send a client to Peru and they'll have those type of culinary experiences that you're describing, or do you avoid things like cuy?
Uh, you know, there are restaurants that they offer cuy, so you can try in different, presentations. Usually, we don't encourage the clients to eat the cuy in the community, because it could be a little bit too heavy for them. But when I go, I eat it. So,
Okay.
it's like, okay, you want me to sign a disclaimer? I'll do it.
So you
I'll
don't you
just
don't
do
offer
it with
you don't
them.
offer a day trip to a guinea pig farm and with a and a cooking class afterwards.
But we do cooking class, but not with the guinea pigs, because no.
Okay, yeah.
But
It's
we
bad
do
for bad
so.
for PR too, I think, if people are posting their
No,
pictures from
yeah.
their Abercrombie and Kent trip on
No, and
Instagram.
I have pictures with with the koi and the community, and it's part of the local culture, and
Hmm.
I love that, and I respect that, and I share with them, and whatever I when I go there, I share with them what they
Hmm.
have on their table,
Hmm.
and I love it. I love just the ceremonial thing around it and what it means to them, because it's
Mm.
also they have raised these guinea pigs, and they eat them in special occasions as well. So, and my grandma used to do that with the chickens and things at the farm, and even with guinea pigs. So I know what it's all about. But in Lima, we don't eat much. We don't eat guinea pig really. We eat mostly seafood, because we're so close to the ocean.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I love is during COVID times, I didn't want to use the public transportation. No one wanted to use the public transportation, so I grabbed my bike and I went around the bike line. And I said, "Oh, why don't we do like a tapas and bike?" Pretending to burn these calories. I don't think we're gonna burn it all, but let's do that. So I went with one of my friends who is a chef here, and I said, okay, let's make a list of our 8 favorite places to eat, like anticucho, ceviche, picarones, and so on. And then we went and we kind of betted that. Okay, is it good like to park here with a bike and try this, and then we'd make another stop. So, and people really loved it because they can try what we love as Peruvians, and this is what we do, on a kind of daily basis in each of the of the offices. Whatever we like and we try as locals, we see if that is, good enough for to offer to our clients. And people want to live what we live in destinations. So
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing in Buenos Aires. We did, okay, let's go to the speakeasies. It's so cool. Let's see the rooftop. So let's do a speakeasy tour. So
Hmm.
we chose the ones we love, and then we are taking clients there so they can enjoy a little bit of that porteño nightlife that we all
Okay.
love in Buenos Aires. Yeah.
I I suspect maybe you're a little biased, but you are also an expert that knows probably every city in South America, or at least knows a lot about every city in South America. So, what is the most interesting, let's say Latin America, the most interesting food city in Latin America? If somebody that's never been to Latin America and their whole thing is foodie, they're like they're they grew up watching Anthony Bourdain and they want to go have a foodie experience, which city would you start with?
I have to start with Lima.
I knew you were
I
going to say
think
that.
it's, yeah,
But honestly, I've heard that from other people that don't aren't from Lima, so I get it. Okay.
yes, no, Lima is very interesting in terms of food and, flavors and just the mixture of different cultures in one city. So I would say Lima. If you love meat, if you like beef, definitely Buenos Aires. And and then, but I would say, you know what? Whenever I go also to Santiago, I'm like, if a Peruvian chef would just cook with these ingredients, it would be heaven because they
Mm.
have all these, great fish and seafood from that colder part of the Pacific that is
Hmm.
so good and so interesting. Uh, so every city. I was surprised also with Quito. The last time I was there, I went to a couple of restaurants from chefs that are the new generation of chefs, and just I never thought of Ecuador as a top culinary destination, and when I was there I was like, wow, this is great. So there are iconic cities like Mexico City, and then you have Lima, and you have Buenos Aires, but there are so many others where you can find different flavors and different ways of enjoying food and wine, because then we have Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay with great wines. But even also in Mexico, you can find amazing wines, and you can find great wines in the south of Brazil. So I think we are just, discovering every day. There are so many things to keep learning and tasting in Latin America. So
I'm gonna I'm gonna
I'm
I'm
never
gonna
gonna lose weight in this job.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I don't know if you can answer this because I know you've got team members that work in every one of these places. But let's take the same person, never been to Latin America, definitely interested in food, like that's their thing. Where is the last place you would send them?
The last place,
Like the
like
one
you.
that like they would be most disappointed. Like, oh my gosh, this person's a foodie. They want to come for food. I better not send them to City X because it's the most boring food I've ever seen. Or you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I wouldn't talk about Latin America that way. I think I eat everywhere, like
No,
really 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 good. Yeah.
I knew you. I come on. Okay. And the reason I ask is I see like I'm a foodie. And I see like sometimes they'll do rankings of countries by the food that Colombia doesn't usually fare that well on those lists. It usually is kind of near the bottom of the list for Latin America.
Jason, but have you been to El Cielo? I hope so, because
El
you are in
Cielo.
Medellin.
I think I
Ah, I have one for you. That's what you have to try.
I think
And
I
then we talk
have
about Colombian food. El
Cielo.
Cielo is,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, but
it's a
it's
beautiful
it's it's
hotel.
probably too expensive for me. That's probably why I haven't gone.
It's
And-
it's worth it, Jason. It's
yeah,
so worth it.
I have heard it. I've heard
Definitely.
of it.
It's an
Okay, all right.
experience. I mean, and this guy, he has Michelin stars with his restaurants in the US. I think he has one in Washington and one in Miami. And what he does in that kitchen is it's opera. It's unbelievable how the service is so coordinated, and it's an experience, not just the flavors. When you try that, You tell me about, Colombian food,
Okay.
and then try, of course, in Cartagena, you have to try Celele, you have to try Alma at the Casa San Agustin, and in Bogota, El Chato. There's so many, and it's that's why I cannot say there is one place where you are not going to, love the food in Latin America. I think like in every place that I've been, I was never disappointed. I've taken so many friends around as well, and they were all like, "Oh my God, what are these flavors and textures?" And it's very different than any other food in the world.
I think I just came up with an idea. You and I get to collaborate on is I think you and I get to do a South America food podcast, and we'll get and we'll just we'll go city by city. We'll do an episode for each city and talk about the highlights, and then we'll go to these restaurants and they can sponsor the podcast. And yeah, this is gonna be good.
Oh,
Okay,
that'd be great.
because you just opened up a whole world of knowledge. I could tell that was just the surface. So I'm yeah, and I'm gonna go down to El Cielo, and I'm gonna
Yes,
make sure that they
give it
hear
a
this
try.
podcast, that they hear this episode, and maybe they'll give me a little sampling platter or something. Or
Oh, you're
anyway, so
gonna love it. And there are so many great experiences, culinary experiences in Latin America, and you see it on, like with Anthony Bourdain, with street food on Netflix. People love it when they come here, and it's like being at home in a way. Makes you feel at home when you come to Latin America, and you try all these dishes, and it touches your soul. It, that's
so
that's all I can say.
no, I get it, and you mentioned that there's a place you mentioned Street Food Latin America. I think was a series on Netflix, and I
Hmm.
remember sitting in my Airbnb in Envigado, which is basically part of Medellin, and I was like, I think my room was I was almost need to go find a new place, and I was sitting there watching Netflix, and I saw Street Food Latin America, and they were doing an episode on Bogota, and it's the Perseverancia or
Hmm.
I can't probably not say
Perseverancia.
it. But yeah, thank you. I struggle with that. I don't know. That's a hard word for me. Say it one more time. Perse.
Perseverancia.
Yeah, see, that's I should have. I'll just let you say it. And I was like, that place looks really cool. And I literally, like, by the end of the episode, I picked up my phone, went on kayak, and booked a flight to Bogota, and for the next day, for the next morning, and within 24 hours, I was there trying to decide because it's these little food stalls, nah, not stalls, but the different restaurants all in one building. It was incredible. And that's one thing I love about Latin America is I think it was a $30 or $40 flight to go to Bogota from
Oh
Medellin,
yes,
and Bogota's so
it's
different, and there's just these cool places that are like worthy to just pick up and go, and
Bogota
yeah,
is a lot of fun. A lot of people kind of dismiss Bogota and say, "Oh no, I'm just gonna fly in and then go to Cartagena or go to the coffee region."
hmm
And I really enjoy Bogota because also the museums are amazing. So you have
yeah,
like Botero Museum, the Gold Museum. You have, the markets. Palo Quemao Market is amazing to go and just see, and it's so well organized. And the food, I mean, and the coffee. Come on. I mean, I always at home, I always have San Antonio here, San Antonio coffee at home. So I don't know if you try the geisha type of coffee from San Antonio. Try
no,
it. San Alberto, sorry, San Alberto. I'm just mixing names now. San Alberto, and that's really good. I always have one here. So I have Colombian coffee, Brazilian coffee, Costa Rican coffee, and Peruvian. So I kind of like, you know, one
wow,
day each one. Love my coffee in the mornings, and the Colombian coffee is just amazing. And going to the coffee region, that's something also you have to do when you are so close from Medellin. There are direct flights to go to
yeah,
any part of the coffee region, and just also meeting the people there, because a lot of people that are based now in the coffee region, they escaped from that time with the guerrilla. So and they made a new life, and it's just so inspiring to have a coffee and learn from their story. And this is something
okay.
that we do when we go and visit with A&K, all these areas of the coffee region.
Very cool. There's so much. Like I said, we could do a whole nother episode, a whole nother series of episodes and podcasts and all kinds of stuff. So I look forward to having the opportunity to I trust that we will collaborate on some cool stuff in the future. We've talked about a lot of things. Is there anything that I missed that I should have asked, or anything that you want to make sure our listeners hear before we wrap it up?
We talked so much, and I thought, right, when we first talked, I was like, do you think we're going to make like 45 minutes? And I think we already passed that, because it has been so great to, to just share stories and life. And so thank you so much for the opportunity to tell my story. And we have a plan now, because we can do this culinary journey through Latin America. So I'll wait for you in Lima. And if I go to Medellin soon, I'll let you know. So, practice your salsa steps.
I got to practice my dancing, and I need to come down there so I can have the pan de chicharrón. Or is it pan con chicharrón? Or
pan con chicharrón.
Oh, okay, so it's not like a croissant with a chicharrón in the middle of it. That would blow my mind.
No, it's
okay.
It's bread with the chicharrón inside.
It is inside of it? Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to find that. Okay. I might have to come see you. Dalia, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Great conversation, and I trust our listeners picked up on some tips on restaurants, places to go, things to do, and mostly just kind of outlook on life, which is what this is all about. So, Dalia, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jason. Enjoy Colombia.
I will.
I trust you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're enjoying the Big World Made Small podcast, please take a moment to tell the algorithm by subscribing and posting a review so that others can benefit as well. I also invite you to take a quick trip over to bigworldmadesmall.com and join our private adventure travel community to receive new episode notifications, special access to our guest experts, and perhaps even some exclusive partner offers that we haven't discussed on the podcast. I'll publish another episode soon. Until then, keep exploring. It's the best way to make a big world feel just a bit smaller.